our fourth race for DD2 and DD2 Masters. Here's the starting grid. Pole position, it's Germany's Florian Breitenbach. And alongside will be Jakob Bezel, who has been one of the two race winners in DD2 and DD2 Masters this weekend. Peter Bezel and Mika Metz ran out the top 2 rows ahead of Daniel Mahacek and Hannes Morin. Mark Bartels and Manuel Tenschert complete the top 4 rows ahead of Germany's Fabian Bock and Germany's Leon Arndt, who complete the top 10. Paul Louveau, Robert Chopian, Jiri Matacek, Johan Andersson, Christophe Capitin and Nico Jorg and Dennis Thiem complete the 17 strong. It was a difficult race for both Mahacek and Bartels because they did come together off of turn 5 on the first lap, and it curtailed their racing rather rapidly, and they both did not score the minimum amount of points they would have wanted. However, this is their second out of 3 heats. So 10 minutes will be on the clock, plus an additional lap. So the drivers steeling themselves, ready for battle lines to be drawn here in sunny Germany. So the red lights are on the gantry once again. 10 minutes will be set on the timer. We'll have an additional lap after that one. So it's down to Florian Breitenbach and Jakob Bezel, who lead the field into the tram lines. Revs rise, are we ready? Lights out, we're off and racing. And a good start by Breitenbach, who shuts the door quickly and keeps ahead of Jakob Bezel as they filter their way through into turn 4, but Jakob Bezel up the inside. Looks like Mika Metz has got his oars stuck in and trying to go up the inside of Breitenbach, who kept him at bay. And there is Hannes Morin trying to wriggle his way past the German through turn 6 into 3rd place, and he's got right behind him Peter Bezel. So Hannes Morin making a good start again. But it's Jakob Bezel that leads the way. So 9 minutes and 22 seconds, and Jakob Bezel trying to break away from Florian Breitenbach. Mika Metz completes the top 3. Hannes Morin, Peter Bezel rounds out the top 5. And this time Daniel Mahacek is in the thick of the action. Down in 6th position. And a few other drivers have dropped a little bit further down the order. Robert Chopian down in 16th position. But it's getting a bit closer at the top 3 because Mika Metz has got himself knuckling down and getting to work right now. The work rate is going to increase from the 464. Running on the Kart Republic chassis. Into turn 11 as Breitenbach does the old defensive trick there, and Mika Metz nearly gets caught unstuck, but he manages to keep it all calm and cool. Hits the brakes a little bit more than he probably would have needed to try and not outbrake himself and go into the back bumper of the 433. Lap 2 in the books. And the top 3 are as you were. Hannes Morin has now been passed by Peter Bezel, who will now start closing in on the top 3. There's more changes happening a bit further down the order, and that was on Hannes Morin, and Daniel Mahacek managed to get through as Mika Metz gets through on Florian Breitenbach. Going through into turn number 6. Kept it pinned and managed to make sure it happened. Can I call drivers 401 and 436 to the stewards immediately? DD2 drivers 401 and 436 to the stewards immediately, please. Thank you. So nearly 7.5 minutes to go. And the top 4 covered by just under a second. A hair's breadth underneath it by 1/1000th. As Morin is battling away with the likes of all people, Paul Louveau, who is a DD2 Masters driver. He is the one that's really, he's absolutely getting his elbows out. He's got behind him the likes of Manuel Tenchert, Nico Jorg. You've got Mark Bartels battling away with Fabian Bock. And Bock has gotten ahead of the 488 for position. And that is for 10th place. As Louveau is quite comfortably ahead of the rest of the opposition, which just so happens to be Christophe Capitat in the Tony kart in the 502. He's bringing up the rear of the field. But nevertheless, that's going to give him a P2 on aggregate race results. But Breidenbach up the inside of Mika Metz. Oh, that was close. He had to knuckle down and try and get past. And he gets Mika Metz gets a little bit of a slight assist from behind as they both go into the braking zone. And now Tenchert makes his way past Louveau. And Louveau is is Piggy in the middle, so to speak. A DD2 Masters driver in between two DD2 drivers. And they're all squabbling for position. And up the inside of Paul Louveau goes Nico Jorg. But Louveau knows that he's just got to keep himself on the tarmac. He's got to just keep it on the black stuff. Across the line once again. Lap 5 completed. And Jakob Bezel's lead over Mika Metz now goes up to 0.874. And Florian Breidenbach is not giving up in the hunt for second position. Peter Bezel and Daniel Mahacek have now decided to come and join the fray, but keep your eyes on Hannes Morin in the 451 from Sweden. He's only had a handful of outings in DD2, and he has shown real good flashes of brilliance as the young Swede, who's been running in the STCC TCR Scandinavia Championship with Brink Motorsport running the Audi RS3 LMS, and his car's currently being piloted this weekend in the STCC by Jessica Bachmann. The lead now is just under a second as Jakob Bezel is pulling away. Nico Jorg now sets the fastest lap of anybody in this race, a 49.694 second lap time from the Austrian. And Nico Jorg currently behind Manuel Tenchert by about a tenth and a half of a second or so. Through into the chicane once again. And so there are at least 4 drivers, maybe even make that 5, because we've still got under 4.5 minutes to go. As there's been a move, a change around between Peter Bezel and Florian Breidenbach. Breidenbach tried to go for the undercut and get back up the inside on the Czech Republic driver, and he's in the slipstream as they come across the line. As Bezel goes defensive, Breidenbach sweeps to the outside, and that nearly opens the door for Daniel Mahacek, who now gets through. But then, keeping it pinned around the outside of turn 5, that's going to be hairy. Mahacek gets through. Morin is now in it. And he goes up the inside of Breidenbach. They go side by side through out of turn 6 into 7. Morin's kept it pinned on the inside, and he goes sideways. And Breidenbach is off the track and nearly comes into the path of one of the Kart Republic karts. And that looks to be possibly the 488 of Mark Bartels, which is the case. Paul Louveau is there. Fabian Bock's there. And Louveau looking to go up the inside of Bartels through into turn 12. The Frenchman makes it through, and that opens the door for Fabian Bock. Side by side with Mark Bartels through into the final double right-hander, and Fabian Bock makes it count. Well, that was a bit of unsettling for both Hannes Morin and Florian Breidenbach. Breidenbach came out worse. I'm not too sure if there was the slightest amount of wheel-to-wheel contact between the pair, but they both have kept it on the tarmac, even though Breidenbach's front bumper was doing a bit of grass cutting coming into turn number 9. So Mark Bartels has dropped into 11th position because he's been passed by Paul Louveau and Fabian Bock. And it's all kicking off a little bit further down. Dennis Thiem looks to have got in on the ante as well, the 454 from Germany. But Jakob Bezel keeps a lead as Hannes Morin sets the timesheets purple with a 49.488 second lap time. Currently running in P5, and he's ahead of the pairing of Nico Jorg, who's now got past Manuel Tenschert for 6th position. 2 minutes still to go, plus 1 lap. Christophe Capitan is ahead of Leon Arndt, who is at the back end of the field in 17th position. As Fabien Bock in the meantime has got past Paul Louveau. Louveau still leading in DD2 Masters. I did have a quick chat with him in the lunch break, and he said, yeah, I'm just having some issues with getting the tyres warming up, you know, the tyres sort of really working for me. At least the main thing is he's keeping on the black stuff, and he's got to do the job tomorrow just to make sure that everything's all fine and dandy come the end of the race weekend. But with just over 1 minute and 10 still to go, Jakub Bezel from the Czech Republic still leads the way. Mika Metz in second. Peter Bezel rounds out the top 3. Daniel Mahacek completes the top 4 ahead of Sweden's Hannes Morin. And Hannes Morin and Johan Andersson, 2 drivers doing double duty. They've got to go straight into the pre-grid and get themselves ready for the second E20 heat after this one. As the 454 of Dennis Thiem gets passed by the 472 of Johan Andersson. And then Thiem returns the favour through turn 6. And Andersson, trying to keep it pinned towards the outside of turn 7, has to slot back in behind through 8. Now into the turn 9-10 chicane. 15 seconds on the clock remains. Again, it's going to be close like it was in the previous DD2 race. DD2 and DD2 Masters race. This is going to be close. 2 seconds on the timer as Jakub Bezel crosses the line, puts us onto the 13th and final lap of the race. And he leads by just under 1.2 seconds ahead of Mika Metz, Peter Bezel, Daniel Mahacek, Hannes Morin, Nico Jorg and Manuel Tenschert, 2 Austrians bringing up the bottom part of the top 7. As again, Dennis Thiem and Johan Andersson at each other's doors. Oh, and a little bit of assist from behind, courtesy of Dennis Thiem on the back bumper of Johan Andersson, as Thiem gets past through on the inside of turn number 6. But Andersson will try and fight back at him. So timer has hit 0. That's it. 1 more lap to go after this one. So we're on the 13th and penultimate lap out of 14 in this race. Final lap board. So this will make it the 3rd different winner out of the 4 heats that have taken place so far here in DD2, but also from the Masters perspective. There have been several different winners so far, as Hannes Morin trying to battle away with Nico Jorg. Jorg trying to get past and looks to do so through turn 6, into turn 7, into 8. Nico Jorg has got that cart absolutely pinned to the tarmac. And Hannes Morin looks over his left shoulder. Nico Jorg looks to the left, looks to the right, through the penultimate hairpin on the circuit. As Jakub Bezel is very quickly coming towards the end of the race. And Nico Jorg gets the switchback on Hannes Morin through turn 12. But will Morin get the power coming out of the final corner? No, he doesn't. Oh my goodness me. And that means that Manuel Tenschert will also get past Hannes Morin, and Hannes Morin, he lost out to Florian Breidenbach. But Jakub Bezel takes the victory by just under a second at the end of the race, following on from the checkered flag. Mika Metz in second, Peter Bezel in third, Mahacek in fourth, Nico Jorg and Manuel Tenschert ran at the top 6. Florian Breidenbach in 7th, ahead of Hannes Morin, who was on course for 5th, but Nico Jorg decided otherwise. Paul Louveau takes a DD2 Masters victory in 10th, ahead of Mark Bartels, Robert Chopian, Johan Andersson, Dennis Thiem, Jiri Matacek, Christophe Capitan and Leon Arndt bringing up the rear in 17th position.